His power is phenomenal. His technique is so precise. He is one of the best fighters alive.
Hey, what is up? Today we're covering UFC 308, going over my picks and breaking down my bets for Topuria vs. Holloway this Saturday. Let's get it. And the first fight on the main card is Magomedov vs. Petrosyan, and I straight up do not think this guy is that good. I'll say it. Shara Bullet's first two opponents were horrific on their feet, and Shara was just practicing his elite Muay Thai on a punching bag in the cage. Don't get me wrong, his Muay Thai is very, very good. He has great balance and finds a lot of damage through repetition in his powerful snapping kicks. He fights in a smooth rhythm of fast kicks and then resetting at range to throw it again. I cannot wait to bet against him when he finally fights someone with a more balanced game. Rakic was a decent opponent, to be fair, and exposed Shara's lack of defense but did not capitalize on it. Shara almost seems too cocky to defend himself at times, which hasn't hurt him yet. Unfortunately, Petrosyan is not my favorite fighter either. He finds success in the past with cockier strikers with bad defense, like Christian Leroy Duncan. If he relies on his own Muay Thai and tries to have a Muay Thai match in the octagon, I think he loses 100 times out of 100 against the more athletic fighter. If he uses it to counteract Shara, then I can see an easy decision win through subduing and holding Shara on the mat and winning their few exchanges. I'll take a majority decision by Shara in a straight Muay Thai match, but every time I watch Shara Bullet fight, I wait for the right opponent to humble him, and this might just be it. Petrosyan is not great, but it's good value at plus money against such a one-sided, untested prospect in the Bullet. And now for Lerone Murphy vs. Dan Ige. Styles make fights. Ige is a heavy hitter who's never been finished in the UFC. He had a great short notice performance against Diego Lopez at 303, where he lost a decision, but Lopez is probably a future champ at 145, so it's not a bad loss in short notice, in 7 hours notice at the slightest. Lerone Murphy is one of the brightest prospects from the English MMA scene, as he's finished 7 fights in the UFC without a loss yet. Murphy is very technical and has faced and beaten many talented strikers like Edson Barbosa. Ige has faced many hard hitters like him, like Josh Emmett or Calvin Kattar, and still has never been finished, and he's going to rely on his power to finish Murphy, as Murphy is the longer and faster fighter. Murphy can utilize his kicks and quick combos to stay outside of Ige and his powerful infighting and wrestling background. Ige is most likely going to need strong clinch work and inside fighting like Muay Thai, and maybe even level changes to secure a win, where he mainly sticks to pretty basic boxing on the inside, relying on his power. I'd say the best bet is Murphy by decision. He can stay outside the range and piece up Ige and avoid that power. And the second fight on the main card is Ankalaev vs. Rakic, and assuming Pereira stays at light heavyweight, this is a title contender fight for Ankalaev, who hasn't lost in his last 12, and many say is the next test for Pereira. Ankalaev is looking to extend his run, and yes, I do think he's stupid enough to strike with Alex, but I'd love if he lied about it and immediately went for a takedown on Alex. But Ankalaev wasn't lying about striking being his favorite. Even with his Sambo background, he doesn't like to grapple. With 0 UFC submission wins and 1 loss via the Scottish Triangle, Ankalaev is a very serious striker, and his Sambo background only strengthens his skills. Rakic is also a very capable striker, but is coming off a KO loss from Geary at the top of the division at 300. Ankalaev dominated Johnny Walker and Anthony Smith recently over 3 fights, while Rakic's best win is Anthony Smith maybe. Rakic has looked good in his losses, especially against Geary, where before apparently he couldn't feel his legs. He was damaging Geary a lot, but who knows with Geary, he could be faking it. And Jan before that knee injury that Rakic suffered. Both of these fighters are risky strikers, which always creates a fun matchup and fight, but also a volatile fight. Rakic is a very fun striker who speeds up the pace whenever he wants with wild looping hooks and long jabs and straights. He took a lot of damage from Yuri and kept swinging with no restraint, which led to him getting finished. Ankalaev is aggressive but still very cautious and meticulous with his form and striking. It will be up to Ankalaev to slow down this fight and find an opening on a more aggressive Rakic. I'd like Ankalaev by decision or late KO here. And now for the co-main event, a 5-rounder of Rob Whittaker vs. Chimaev. No, it's not a new Rocky movie. This is a classic story of a division veteran and ex-champion fighting the young, undefeated Russian prospect. Whittaker has begun a second prime after the loss against DDP, a loss that's aging very well, to be frank. When Chimaev first signed with the UFC in 2020, he looked like Ivan Drago, the last guy you would want to fight, and a force of nature. He's turned out to be more of a force majeure, a natural disaster with a ton of commotion. He's gone from weighing 8.5 pounds over to pulling out for illnesses. And remember, Chimaev joined the UFC only a year before Pereira and has not nearly lived up to the hype like Pereira has. This is his chance to shine, coming off a decision win over former welterweight champ Kamaru Usman. Chimaev has incredible grappling that is very aggressive with many different submissions. His striking is capable, but is more untamed and used to set up his amazing ground game. Chimaev is a threat to end fights in almost every part of the game, and against talented strikers or guys like Kamaru Usman, he was routinely outstruck and didn't back down from losing exchanges. Whittaker is more than skilled enough on the feet to outstrike Chimaev. That's a fact. This being a 5-round fight favors Whittaker as Chimaev begins to gas in round 3 like he did against Usman. Usman could have pulled out a win if they fought all 5, and I do believe he would have won that fight if they fought all 5, something Whittaker will get the chance to do. As long as Whittaker can survive long enough on the ground, Chimaev will tire, and I think Whittaker can pull off the upset over the prospect. Obviously, it's easier said than done. Chimaev will have 25 minutes to try and submit Rob Whittaker on the ground, so it's going to be up to Whittaker and if he did enough in his camp to prepare for this fight. But I would say I'm taking the veteran underdog Whittaker here, getting the job done late in the fight against a very tired Chimaev.
All I gotta say, I'm him. I'm him, guys. Guys, there's the El Matador. He is running away from Abu at 145. Tell him sign the gun contract. Spain, Hawaii, wherever, or even Islam. Islam is famous for defending against 45ers, right? I'm him. I'm right here.
And now the main event, Ilia Topuria vs. Max Holloway for the featherweight belt. This is what you've all been waiting for. Ilia vs. Max is going to be a certified banger and a slugfest. Max will always try to outbox anyone. After all, he's the self-titled best boxer in the UFC. Ilia has uber confidence that we haven't seen since guys like McGregor. Topuria picked apart Volkanovski before he was in the octagon with him and called his shot. When it comes to the Volk win, I really do think it was more Topuria being primed and ready for the fight rather than Volk coming off those losses from Islam. Topuria was a solid prospect with recent wins over Bryce Mitchell and Josh Emmett, but the Volk win cemented him as one of the best fighters in the promotion. This is Max's 30th UFC fight, and Topuria is ready to take on the veteran. Max's last 3 losses are all against Volk by decision. I fear Holloway's stock has been overinflated with how special UFC 300 knockout over Gaethje was. Volk is much shorter than Max and was able to consistently outstrike him over 15 rounds in their 3 fights. Topuria notoriously doesn't throw high kicks at all, but he is such a balanced fighter through every other area and is built similar to Volk. He hones in his power and is smarter in the cage with his position than people realize. He backed up Volk against the cage and then unleashed on him, knocking him out instantly. Maybe Max learned from all 3 Volk losses, but Ilia is a very good and calculated boxer with a similar build. This fight will be a chess match and less unkempt aggression than many will think this matchup will have. Max's chin is too good to be taken out early, but both men are going to land a lot, and I'm taking the younger Topuria by decision after a bloody chess match between the two. And before I give you my picks, I'll go over the little credibility I do have. My lock of the night is the pick I think is a guaranteed hit, either if you want to see some green on that slips, or you need another pick on that parlay. Go with my lock of the night. It's 13-1, and then my main card picks are 45-30. Not bad, not great, but getting better. And officially running through my main card picks, we'll be starting at the bottom with Shara Bullet versus Armen Petrosyan. And I'm going with the underdog upset in Petrosyan. I think Shara is very raw. He seems like a one-sided prospect, and I think Petrosyan can pull off the upset here by decision. And then moving on to Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige. I think Ige has a ton of power, but I'm taking Murphy by decision. Also, I think he's longer, more technical, and he's going to dominate their exchanges and win in a pretty easy decision. And then Ankalaev versus Rakic. I'm taking Ankalaev by KO in round 3. I think his striking is too technical, and he's very smart, where Rakic is a little more explosive. He's very talented, but I think Ankalaev will be able to catch him when he leaves himself exposed. And for the co-main, I'm going with another underdog upset of Robert Whittaker. I think it being a 5-round fight will allow Whittaker to let Chimaev tire and gas himself out. Whittaker just needs to get through the ground game, fight through it, and if he can get to the 4th or 5th rounds, then I think he can beat up a tired Chimaev on the feet. And for the main event, Topuria versus Max Holloway, I'm going with Topuria by decision. This is going to be a slugfest. Max is an amazing boxer, but he has been outboxed before. I think Topuria is just going to be slightly faster, slightly smarter, and will get a pretty easy decision, but a bloodbath either way. And don't forget about the prelims. This is a stacked card. Sorry to women's UFC fans, but they don't fly that way in Abu Dhabi. They like straight up man-on-man violence, and this is a ton of bangers from Basharat to Silva to Jeff Neal to Holloway. This is a ton of bangers on the prelims. You won't want to miss out. It's an early start time in the US because Dana wanted that Abu Dhabi time.
Goddamn, Magomedov!
And to start off the Lucky Punch Award Show, the lock of the night, the bet I guarantee to hit. If you need an extra leg in that parlay, or just need to see some green on that slip, I got you. Holloway from Kyrgyzstan is a warrior. Holloway is 2-0 in the UFC, showing great grappling after getting signed last year. He's a great grappler and an all-around solid fighter. And Rebecki is no pushover, but he's coming off a knockout loss and hasn't faced incredible UFC competition yet. I think Holloway at 258 is a safe and great line for a close matchup that favors Holloway and his style way more.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everybody. Ah!
For the punchline of the night, or the best storyline of the card, we are going with Khamzat Chimaev, and if he can finally unleash that potential on the middleweight division. Pereira is starting to creep into GOAT discussions in his 3rd year since he signed. Chimaev has had the same hype and is now in year 4. It is now or never for Chimaev. No more stalling, no more excuses. You saw my picks. I'm taking Whittaker as the slight underdog, but this is the time for Chimaev. Do or die. Chimaev went from winning 2 fights only 10 days apart to fighting once a year. Brave FC is hiring, and he can fight with Muhammad Mokaev if he doesn't want to be an active UFC fighter, but this is the time to prove it. Punch Bowl, or the best fight on the card. I'm sure you can guess, but Topuria vs Holloway is a certified, guaranteed slugfest. It will be gladiator style with El Matador. This is a banger matchup between 2 amazing boxers. Topuria is the champion as the younger fighter, where the veteran Max is coming back for his belt. This will be bloody, it will be long, this will be bloody and will be at least 3 or 4 rounds, a full-on bloody violence. So this will be a banger and a highlight reel fight no matter what. So thank you guys for watching the video. Comment down below how you feel about my picks, how you feel about the card. I love talking to you guys, and see you next time.